All right, hello everybody. This is the review screencast for our first meeting, which took place on the 20th of August. And so here are the topics we're going to cover, and I'm going to try and keep this under 10 minutes. So first of all, on the website, there's a math quiz and a link to download NetBeans in Java, and then also a short presentation on why learn to code, why Java, and what this course offers. So that's available on the website. The link was an email I sent out. And please look at that if you missed the meeting. And moving on, what is an IDE? IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, and that is what we are going to be using to code. NetBeans is an example of an IDE, and so here's NetBeans. IDEs make things easy for us, or easier for us, because they have these nice constructs, and they can help us debug, and they put different types of words in different colors, and have line numbers and such. So how do you create a project in NetBeans to get started? Well, you open up NetBeans, and you click here, it's the little tan one, new project, and we're doing Java application, next. Name your application, so you can do my first project. Oops. And by the way, please do not put spaces in your project name. Underscores are all right, but no spaces. And if this thing is checked to create main class, then go ahead and leave it checked. And if it's not checked, please check it. All right, so then this opens, and this is our basic auto-generated template for coding. So all this stuff here, oh, by the way, mine's in blue. It's a blue theme. Yours will probably be in white and black if you just downloaded it. If you want to change that on a Windows machine, go to Tools, Options, Fonts and Colors, and Profile. I'm using Norway today. On a Mac, there'll be some sort of like file preferences there, and then I'll take you to the same place. All right, so I'm just going to get rid of this, because that's auto-generated stuff. Get rid of this, auto-generated stuff. You can put your name here if you want. And this is also auto-generated stuff. Now this is still auto-generated stuff, but this is good stuff. This is the main method. And you don't really need to know what this syntax means right now. We'll get there. But all you need to know now is that all the magic happens in the main method. So you can click on one of these curly brackets, and it'll show you where the end is. This is the space you have to code. Now, if you need more space, go ahead and press enter, give yourself some more space. But if you start writing code outside of the main method, blah, 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 bad things are going to happen. So make sure if something doesn't work, first thing is your code in the main method. That's a very common problem for people that are just starting out. And let's see what we're doing. Create a project in NetBeans, so we did that. HelloWorld. HelloWorld is the quintessential traditional first program, and I'm gonna write it, and you can see what I do. So system.out.println, that's an L, and then hello, comma, world, exclamation point. Notice the capital S in system, and also notice the different color words. This is one of the reasons that we use an IDE. You can theoretically write Java in a text file and then save it as a Java file and use your command line to get it to interpret that as a Java file, but it's less fun and less easy. So system.out.println hello world, and you'll notice that in here we have quotation marks. So if you run this is the run button here. Here we go, hello world, and this is a little bit big, so I'll decrease the font size there. And what this is saying is the system, the computer, is going to print out on one line. Here's our one line. Whatever this is in the quotation marks. Hello world. Now, what happens if I asked you to write a program that would print out 3 plus 4, right? So what's 3 plus 4? It's 7. So some people, I'm just going to copy this, would say, okay, get it to print out, and we'll do 3 plus 4. And what do you think is going to happen? You can pause the video or whatever. Running it. Uh-oh, it's 3 plus 4. I wanted it to print out 7. So the problem here is that I still have quotation marks. And quotation marks tell the computer that this is a string, and so treat it exactly as it is. But if you take out the quotation marks, the computer is smart enough to know, or Java is smart enough to know that this is a 3, that's a 4, and 3 plus 4 is 7. It's treating them as integers, and it will evaluate what it is. So you do this, and ta-da, we have 7. What's next? 3 plus 4. Okay, we did that. Now, variables. What if we wanted to do 3 plus 4 with variables? What does this mean? Well, instead of 3 and 4, what if we wanted to have things where we could say, I want the first number to be this and the second number to be this? That's like variables. And these are very similar to variables in math. So the way to have 2 integer variables is to declare them. And I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take us through the anatomy of a variable declaration in initialization. So int first num equals 4, or 3. 3 and then 4. And int second num equals 4. All right, now notice a couple other things. After every line of code, we have a semicolon, and that's saying this is the end of the line of code. Also, in my naming convention here, first num and second num, it stands for like first number, and so that's 2 words, but there's no spaces in between. Spaces aren't allowed. And the F is lowercase, but the N is capitalized. This is called camel case, and it is it's just a naming convention used throughout Java. And so now I can do system.out.println first num plus second num. All right, and if I do that, I should see 7 again. Yep, here we go. Here's the second 7. This is the first 7. So let's go through the anatomy of a variable declaration. Here's an example. So int first num equals 3. All right, so the first part is int, and this is the type of variable. In this case, it's an int, which stands for integer. The second part is the name of the variable. You can name this whatever you want. It can be int a, int first num, int second num, int 54th num. Whatever you want, that's the name of the integer, and that's what you're going to call your variable by when you reference it later in the code. And then we have this equals, which is the assignment operator. And 3, which is a value. And then our semicolon to end the line. So let's see. How do I scroll down in here? All right, give myself some more space. So we start with the type, integer, and then we have our name. And this is so if we do int a, let's call it a, int a, and the semicolon ended right there, this is fine. This is a declaration. We're declaring that there is a variable of type int and name a, and we don't need to give a value. But then if we said system.out.println a, it would give us an error because it doesn't know what a is. We have to assign a value to it. We have to initialize a. So we would say then, if we only did the declaration up here, then we would just say a equals 3. And the system already knows that a is a variable because we've declared it. So it knows that a is a variable because we declared it up here. And it's going to set a to 3. So that's what the equals sign does. Equals is the assignment operator, and it sets the value of the thing on the, so here, a equals 3, it sets the value of the thing on the left to the thing on the right. So what's the value of 3? Well, it's 3. And what's a? Well, we don't know what a is, but now it's going to be 3. So a equals 3 means a is 3. Now, what if in your code we had something like int b equals 4, and then we would say system.out.println b, and then we would say b equals 5, and then system.out.println b. And this is, let's see, eraser, get rid of that straight line there. So int b equals 4, println b, well, what is it going to print out? It's going to print out 4 because b is 4. But then we change b to 5. And in math, this wouldn't be right because b is 4, 4 equals 5, that doesn't work. But in Java, equals is the assignment operator. So it's saying whatever you used to be b, you are now 5. It takes a thing on the left and it turns the value of the thing on the left to the thing on the right. That's the way I think about it. And so B is 5. So now if we print out B, it's going to print out 5. Here's your crash course in variable declaration and assignment. Oops. Uh-oh, that's not good. All right. Just remember you have the type, the name, type, name, and then the value. That's kind of all you need. So let's go back to the code. And here we go. Yeah, here's our type. I have a variable of type integer with name first num and the value of 3. And so now what I can do, and also I'm going to comment this out. // is commenting. It means that the computer is going to skip that line, ignore it. So if you want to not deal with the second 7 in your output, or the first 7 in this case, but you don't want to delete that line in case you want to look at it later or do something else, you can do // and that will comment out the entire line. Like anything that comes after it will also be commented out. The other thing, and the reason they call it commenting, is so you can add notes to yourself or to someone else in your code. So you can say // here and say variable declaration and initialization. And that's what's happening at this line. And then it's also happening at this line, but you get the idea. So if I run this, here's my 7 from first num plus second num. But the great thing is now I can change 7 and 14 or something. And what's it going to be now? Well, I don't even have to change the printout. It's going to be 21 because it's referencing these variables. Let's take a look. Good. Okay, variables int and string. So we've already been introduced to the integer variable, but there's also the string variable. So let's say I have a variable type string, and string is interesting because it's a capital S. Always has to be a capital S. So I have a variable type string with name. Well, what is it going to be? Let's say it is your name. So name, and that equals Theo for me. And what's the problem? If it's red and you have this little thing here, you can hover over it and it will tell you what the error is. It says, cannot find symbol variable Theo. And I realize now it thinks Theo is a variable name, just like first num or second num, but I didn't declare Theo. Well, I don't want to declare Theo because it's not a variable name. It's actually a string, and strings need quotation marks around them. So now we're all happy. And then I can say system.out.println name. Uh-oh, what am I missing? Semicolon expected. Okay, add your semicolon and run this and it will print out my name. Now, the other cool thing about strings is you can smash them together. It's called concatenation. So if I say hello, comma, space, plus name, then it will say hello, Theo. And that's something you can do with strings. What else? We did 3 plus 4 variables. We talked about strings. Strings, we'll go into string methods later. You can do all sorts of stuff like name equals name dot to uppercase, and then I copy this line. Don't worry about this. I actually didn't talk about this in the meeting, but you get the idea. It changes it to 2 uppercase. This is called a string method here. This 2 uppercase, and we will talk about those at the next meeting. What else? I think about the last thing is basic math. So if you want to do plus, it's the plus sign. If you want to do minus, it's the minus sign or the hyphen. If you wanted to do multiplication, it's the asterisk. If you want to do division, it's the slash. And I think one of your homework problems is to mess around with basic math and see what happens when you try to divide. Weird things will happen, and the homework document explains it. So I think that's all, and I am at 14 minutes. All right. See you guys in the next meeting.